green light. Go, go, go.
Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Hello, good evening and welcome Race Club fans. How are you this fine Tuesday evening as we are winding ourselves up for what is going to be one stunning race tonight. We have got, as round 4 of the Race Club Championship, sponsored by our great friends Lovely Stickers, we have got a 1 hour endurance for you at the fabulous Spa-Francorchamps circuit in Belgium. And for those of you who know your motor racing, those circuits don't get much better than this. Draped over the fantastic hills of the Ardennes, we are going to have some lively racing tonight. It's a 1 hour endurance. We've got a compulsory pit stop, so that should bring strategy into play. And we are, as all good endurance racers do, we are going into the night. So temperatures are going to drop, tyre pressures are going to drop, so who's going to get it right, who's going to get it wrong? And as you can see by the totem pole on the left hand side of your screen, we have the best turnout we have had so far this season. We have 17 drivers like coiled springs ready to go for this great race tonight. And if we get all our technology right, we are hoping to have a bit of a driver interview, so we've got a little bit extra special for you. That's assuming we've all pressed the right buttons and got it all going in the right direction. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of filling because of the length of this circuit. It will take the drivers a little while to get round to start putting laps in, but we have got a couple of drivers, and unfortunately due to the rather poor resolution of my screen, I am struggling to see who is working their way around, but I think it might be, oh, the Brownster's in tonight. I hadn't noticed that. Brownster, a bit of a Spa specialist, very quick driver. I've commentated on him for some time, so I would expect his first lap to be a bit of a marker. We are expecting times to be down in the 2-minute 20s for the fast guys, and the rest of the field won't be too far behind. I reckon they're going to be sort of 2:22 is going to be probably the average. And here we go, 2:20. What was I talking about? 2:19. I wasn't even in the ballpark. 2:18.7. Well, I reckon there's a few who are going to want to go home after seeing that, but they need to stay in it. You've got to be in it to win it. So Dazzle, one of our new drivers, did a really great drive last week at Brands Hatch. Was coming generally around about 7th. He's put in there about a 2:21, which is not a bad lap at all. So let's see, is that DB Kung coming to the line? No, it isn't. I'm just trying to see. Oh, I think that was Bazix coming to the line there. Or it might have even been Banff. Yeah, it was Banff who's just slotted into 2nd place there. But that lap time of the Brownster, 2:18.7. Wow. Absolutely fantastic stuff there. Well, we've got a few more filing across the line there. I think that Marge driver, who's improved impressively over the back end of last season into the start of this one, he slots there into 5th. I reckon he's got a little bit more pace in that car. So who we got coming through now? I think we got Chris Vidub. That was we had Donardi slip through there. He's coming just under the 2:20 mark, so he's slotted in side by side with the Brownster. And who else came in there? Crumbo Zoe, a little bit off the pace on the first lap, but I think she will certainly pick that up. I know from the chat of the week she was doing quicker laps than that, so I'm expecting her to come in a little bit quicker than that. I think we've got Chris V Dub is just working his way round Stavilo at the moment, and we've got Bazix, who was our winner from our intermediate little championship we had since season 5, is just coming up to the line. And where can he put it on the field? I think he must have gone outside track limits there, because with 13 minutes to go he still hasn't put a time in, so which is a bit of a surprise. So who else is coming up? Chris V Dub now in the Golf liveried Porsche there. He's currently showing 10th because he's the first one that hasn't put a time in, and he crosses. No, he doesn't get a time in, and it looks behind him. Oh, look at that. The Brownster's gone even quicker. A 2:18.2. Absolutely incredible times there. Can he do a 2:17? A 2:17 would be full alien. And as you can see by the times the rest of them put in there at the moment, nobody's got anything to fight back with the times the Brownster's putting in at the moment. So let's just have a shoot down and have a look at the guys a bit further down. Well, actually it looks like the Brownster might be picking a slipstream up off Chris V Dub there, so that might be the 1/4 of a second he needs. Oh no, it doesn't. Unfortunately, the overspeed from the slipstream caught him out as he turned in there at Lacuma at the top of the hill, and it was carrying a little bit too much overspeed. So now the important thing for a lot of these drivers is just to get a time in. And actually looking at it, I think, yeah, Bazix looks like he had just spun out there. So yeah, I think he's just getting going there as he just goes through the campus chicane. And so yeah, that's another lap scrap there. So he's not having the best of times there. Now interesting to see some of these drivers are going back to the pits. Now that is quite a tricky one on this circuit because the pits are quite long, and the drivers are going to need to be really careful later on, because one of the issues with this layout of Spa is they have to go through both pit lanes at pit limit speeds, so it is quite expensive. So if you pick up a penalty for track limits or one for exceeding the pit lane speed, etc., it is going to be really, really painful. But the great thing is tonight, because of the number of drivers we've got, everyone should be able to find somebody they can have a battle with. Now let's have a look at some of these drivers that we've turned out. Now Simo's put a lap time in, but that's not representative. Now Simo's quite legendary in race club circles because he managed to get lost in the pit lane, not realising the pits were actually round the hairpin at the end, and then got disqualified for driving the wrong way in the pits looking for his pit garage. So he's up to speed now, so he's not going to make that mistake again, but he is, like I say, a little bit legendary on race club for that particular manoeuvre, but he's got the hang of it now. So Chris V Dub has put a lap in. He's just behind Crumbo Zoe there. So let's have a look out the front. Donardi's getting a bit closer to the Brownster, but he's sub 120, and so is Banff, but he is actually still 1.2 seconds off the pole time at the moment. So we will just shoot. There's two drivers at the bottom that I wouldn't expect to see there. One is a Nun in the Lexus. Now he's generally one of the guys we see punching up there in the sort of top 5 or 6. And the other one, who really is out of place at the moment there, is Bazix. Now, he's just working his way round from the top end of the circuit. And he really needs to get a lap in here because there's only 9 minutes to go. And those tyres, he will have used the best of them so far. So he's going to need to get a banker in here at some point. So majority of drivers have. It's interesting that Nun is not going out at the moment. I thought he would be out trying to get a lap in. So not quite sure what that strategy is at the moment. Somebody else has just popped a lap in there. We'll have a look actually while we're waiting for Bazix to come round. Rusty Spanner, new driver to the series, joining us for the first time tonight. He's there, not just outside the top 10 in the Lambo, so that's not a bad time at all. Just in there behind Group and Photo Pig, so that looks like it's lining up for a nice race battle. And we've got anybody else up the top there? Yeah, our top sort of 5 and 6 are really the drivers we sort of expected to be up there. So the one that is out of place at the moment is Bazix, and he has got a lap in, but it's in the 220s. He's 8th place there, so I would have expected him to be a bit further up the field. He's a little bit vulnerable in the middle of the pack there, especially when we've got Eau Rouge as the first corner, so it can often get a little bit touchy-feely through there as they come up over the top to Radion. So ideally you want to be one end or the other of the grid. So it does look to me like a Nun is not going to put a lap in, or if he is, he's going to do it quite late on, because we've got just under 8 minutes of this qualifying remaining. Denardi's getting a little bit closer to the Brownster, but not enough to put too much of a dent in his lead there. But interesting to see, we've got Denardi second, DB Kung third, Chicken Paxo fourth, and Bamp third, all within just about half a second. So I can see, considering the battles we had at Brands Hatch last time, where in the final race of the evening, I think the first 6 cars were covered by about 2.5 seconds. So the racing here is getting very tight, particularly up at the front. So I would expect that we are going to get quite a battle there. If the Brownster's got that kind of pace, it's going to be hard for the rest of them to hang on to him. But the battles behind are going to be quite close, because then we've got the pack from Dazza up there in 6th. That's a good qualifying time there from him. Rusty and Marge there, and Bazix really are all quite close there. They're like the 3-second crew. And then we're down to the sort of the 5-second crew of Rusty, Photo Pig Group, Randy Flangepants. So I think it's going to be tight all the way through. I think Simo's time there is not really representative of what he can do. He's just working his way up the top of the circuit there. So let's have a look who's doing what. Bazix has moved his way up to 6th, so he's getting a little bit more pace into that Ferrari. So he's knocked Dazza down into Dazza's what appears to be standard position of 7th. Again, the Nun is not going out for a qualifying lap, and we've got under 6 minutes left, so he's left it a little bit late there, really. We are dropping on numbers of cars on the track, which I am surprised. There may be people sitting there that are going to go out for one last go. I can't. Let's just follow Simo round to complete this lap. It looks fairly tidy so far. Can probably take a little bit more curb there as he comes out round Stavilo, because it gives him a wider entry. So take a big chunk of that curb on the left. This is what I do, and if you've seen my lap times, you know I'm no expert. And you just give yourself a wider entry, and that helps you carry more speed all the way down here through Blanchimont and all the way down to the bus stop chicane. So we are going to attempt to pop to the pits and have a chat with Bazux, who has just gone to the pits from his qualifying run, and hopefully he's going to be able to hear us.
Good evening, Trevor.
Good evening, Ben. How are you doing?
Not as well as I was hoping, to be honest.
I was going to say I was there at our coiled spring waiting for you to come across the line with a time, but you seemed to. I imagine you had a couple of issues with track limits, maybe.
Yeah, first few laps I dropped it, so obviously that's always a bad place to start from. And then yeah, a bit of a on the back foot a little bit here. Some quick times tonight.
Well, that one of the Brownsters, where's that come from?
I don't think I've seen a time that quick, to be honest, Joe, on this track. It's phenomenal.
Well, I was doing. I know. I'll have to say, where's the thing where you all vote to kick someone and then you just chuck them out because they're too quick? I think that's what we should be thinking of doing. But to be fair, Donardi's winding up the Audi rubber band there, and he's got within 0.6. But even so, there's two drivers there in the 218s, which I don't think we've ever seen that before. I think generally a 219 we'd be optimistic with, wouldn't we? And the 220 was going to get you a fairly good place on the grid. It's
phenomenal, and it goes to show just how quick everybody's got between seasons. Actually, it's a really quick time. I don't think we were anywhere near this last time we were here.
I think about 2 seasons ago, I had an aberration and qualified about 3rd on the grid with a 220 something, and I thought I was sort of waiting the call from some Formula One team to go and join them. I'd done so well, but
I'd have given you a call, mate, if I
was. Well, how do you think? Because you're sitting there in 6th for the moment. How do you feel of that as a position to start this? Because it is obviously an hour endurance race.
Yeah, it could be a lot worse. So, I mean, it's these hour races, anything can happen, really. Just out of the way for Brownster, he's coming through like a missile. I mean, our races have thrown up so many unexpected outcomes in the past. I think, key will be just trying to keep it on, isn't it? I think it's such a long pit lane, you don't want to be stopping for damage. So.
Well, I don't know if you remember back to the last race we had here, but that's what caught out Donardi. I think he was running away with it, made a mistake, had to pit for damage, and I mentioned it earlier in the commentary. I don't know if you heard that. The pit lane here, I know we were discussing it in the chat, is just so long. I just thought, if you have to take an unexpected pit stop, that's your night ruined, really.
Yeah, it's the same. It's like speeding in the pit lane as well. That's going to be a real killer tonight. But it's so hot on make stops and times. So yeah, it's a brutally long pit lane actually. But, anyway,
okay, well,
see if I can have another go.
I'll see if you have to do that. I'll let you get to it.
Good talk to you. Speak later.
And you. Cheers. Best of luck. Well, there we go. A bit of a driver interview, a bit of an insight to what Ben, who's Bazux, was up to there. And it looks like he's gone a little bit deep there at the source. Hopefully that wasn't me putting him off. Well, he has said we can have a quick chat with him at the end of qualifying, which isn't going to be too far away, and also at the pit stop, assuming I'll keep an eye on when he is actually going to pit. And if he can hear me, if he could actually drop me a note when he intends to pit, that will obviously help me out. So let's have a quick look down the order. Has anything dramatically changed? Not that I can see. I'm just working there. Rusty Spanner, first time out in the top 10 there. That's a great result. So no, it's all fairly close. Again, Nun has not put in a qualifying time, so I'm a bit surprised by that. I don't know whether that's a tactic or whether he's got a connection problem. I'll have a quick look in the chat to see if I can find out. We do have... Oh, he said I have had a note that he couldn't get a lap in. So, and Nun is working there from the back, so that will be quite an interesting viewpoint from there, because he may go for something maybe slightly different on the pit stop. I don't think there's any pit stop window, so he can go something a little bit different, gain himself some clear air. and go for it on the sort of the clear track that he can generate in. Let's have a quick look. Oh, he said he had a technical issue. So Stuart Packham's online chatting to us. He won't be able to watch the race, but he's saying good luck. And hopefully, Stuart, if you're still listening, can you just confirm to me you could hear Ben in the chat? That would be great. So here we go. The time is out. So this is the last few drivers coming up to the line. Can Bazux, having had the motivational talk from myself, do any better? Yes, he can. He's up to 5th. So he got within 1.5 seconds of that time of the Brownster, so I imagine he'll be quite pleased with that. So who else is coming across the line? I think DB Kung is coming up to the line. And he's got 3rd, so that's quite a good position there. Who's coming next? I've never had such a long totem pole to work my eyes down. So just bear with me while I'm getting the hang of it. I'm just doing it by a process of elimination. No, everyone has now finished. So that is our grid for this 1 hour endurance race at Spa, sponsored by Lovely Stickers. We've got Brownster and Donardi on the front row. That fantastic lap time by Brownster, which he slammed in really early on. And then row 2, we've got DB Kung and Chicken Paxo. And then row 3, we've got Bazux next door to Bamps. So 2 Ferraris there side by side. And then we've got Rusty GT, who actually, he did depose Dazza from his regular 7th position. So they line up side by side on row 4. Row 5 is the ever-improving Marge alongside our newcomer Rusty Spanner. And then in the 6th row, we've got Photo Pig alongside Garut. And then row 7, we've got Randy Flange Pants and Chris V Dub, teammates side by side. And then next up along is Crumbo Zoe and Simo. And I don't think that's a representative time from Simo, or really from Crumbo Zoe, because I think she was putting in faster lap times than that during the week. And then at the back, Anun, who had a few technical issues and couldn't get his get a lap time in, so he's going to start from the back. So just to remind you, it is a 1 hour race. There is a compulsory pit stop. And you'll know if they've done the compulsory pit stop, because on the left hand side of your screen you can see the little orange 1 by their names, which means they haven't had a pit stop. When that goes green, they've done the pit stop. So that's the easy way for you to keep track of who's actually completed their pit stop. So they may have to pit other times for things such as damage, as for penalties and so on. So it may not just be a single pit stop, but they have to do at least one and change tyres. And just to remind you, we are going into the dark as well, so this is going to liven things up. Oh, and the Brownster, for some reason, is showing at the back. I don't know what's happened there. Now, whether he has done something to mean he is not going to be leading the race, because he's not part of the full championship. I'm sure somebody has or somebody will enlighten me on that one. So thank you, Stuart, for confirming that we could hear Ben there. Just want to make sure. Brownster, he apparently got punted out of the room.
10 seconds.
I did joke about there was going to be a vote to get rid of the fast driver, but that was actually a joke. So please don't blame that one on me.
And how important is qualifying to you in a 24-hour race?
So I think we have got time, while drivers are out on their initial lap, when the camera does actually catch up, that we can probably have a quick chat with Bazux. Hopefully he can hear me and he will join us shortly. We can have a bit of a chat about how he thinks this race is going to roll out. Are you there, Bazux?
I am. Hello.
Hello. Well, that was a bit. We joked about the Brownster getting voted out, and it seems like the gods of disconnection were listening to us.
Yeah. Somebody was listening in across the ether, and oh bless him, because that was what was his time in the end?
A 2:18.3.
That's phenomenal. That is impressive. It really is.
It was just something else, wasn't it? I'm slightly concerned because it looks like my cameraman is. Oh no, it looked like the cameraman had dozed off. So, well, that's helped you because you popped in a little bit of a quicker time there, and so that's got you up now onto row 2. So, is that better than 6th, or are you happy in 4th? What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'll naturally be happy a little bit further up. I think obviously it's such a long race. Race pace is going to be consistency. I think is going to be key tonight. So quick over 1 lap versus quick over 1 hour. So, hopefully we can just sort of keep tucked in behind the guys at the front and sort of try and build a race from there. Really.
Okay, and well, what about the start? Obviously, it's that run down. For those of you that watch F1, we're using a different grid. We're going to be running down the hill to Eau Rouge for the green light.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on what's the trick to getting through there without too much damage?
I think, in all honesty, Trevor, I'm not going to try and be greedy at the start. I think if we can all emerge at the top of Eau Rouge, then I think that'll be a good result. So we had a good last time we started here. Actually, I think we had a few side by side through there, which is it's always a little bit twitchy. Gets you twitching a little bit, but I think really, I mean, it's such a long run after there. It might even pay off just to tuck in some slips in, to be honest. See if I can get a jump on Ben.
And what's your thought on? I realise you don't want to give away your sort of setup and so on, but I remember, I think it was Paul Ricard where Chicken Paxo ran with very little wing just to give him the advantage down the straights, but obviously that compromised him round the rest of the track. I don't know, would that be a way to go, do you think? Because there are other corners on here where you do need a lot of downforce, aren't there?
Yeah, it's it's a trade-off actually. So I mean, we spent a bit of time on the setup. Me and Jack spent quite a bit of time getting the setup that we're running tonight. Not sure what the Audis are going to run. They've generally tended to run quite light at the back, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw them bolt off on the straight, but actually we might want to rope them in a little bit in the corners. So it could make for an interesting one. Getting past the Audis is notoriously difficult, so we'll have to see how we go.
Brilliant. Okay, well, I'll let you focus on the race. You're coming up to the bus stop chicane, so best of luck, and we'll try and catch you at your pit stop.
Cheers, mate. Take care.
Thanks for talking to us, Ben.
Pleasure.
Well, there you go. There's a little bit of an extra insight there of how the drivers are thinking on this warm-up lap. Obviously varies by car and by driver. And just as they are all coming out, look at the size of this field. Absolutely fantastic stuff here. And as they come up to the start, they're all trying to get in there side by side, which is quite tricky when you've got such a tight chicane like the bus stop there. And looks like Groot is actually going to start from the pit lane. I think that's Groot. So the Brownster has promoted 1 position. So the Brownster's right at the back there. So that's going to be an interesting watch, because the Brownster there in 16th we know has got phenomenal pace, but he is completely out of position. So can he elbow his way Verstappen-like from the back to the front? We will find out very shortly. So here we go. This is Season 6, Round 4 of Race Club, sponsored by Lovely Stickers, getting ready to go. We're rolling down the hill. We are just waiting for that green. Will they all make it?
Free line, give it all you can.
And we're off, and already Donati has got a penalty for being out of position at the start. So that has turned it upside down already. Absolutely fantastic stuff, and it looks like everybody has got through Eau Rouge by the look of it. They're all running line the stern. Basic sticking his nose out in the gold Ferrari there, just at the back of the others. Now Donati looking a bit defensive. Oh, and Donati's been turned round there. I think that was I'm not sure who that was by. I'm just waiting. I think that was DB Kung and Donardi came together, so that's livened things up already. We're just waiting for the totem pole on the left to catch up. It looks like a couple of drivers have had a bit of a moment at the top of Eau Rouge, so that has turned things upside down. So look at this already. So we've got Donardi with a drive-through, showing him in the lead at the moment, but we are waiting for the drivers to come through to the second timing slot. So at the moment I think we are going to hop. I think so. Basics is currently second. So who's running in front? So I think that'll be Chicken Paxo. So Chicken Paxo leads. Basics has gone from fourth to second. Donardi not only has got a drive-through, he has also been spun down to the back of the field. So I would imagine he is going to have to go in. He's going to go in for his pit stop, but he won't be able to change tyres because he needs to do the drive-through. So that is going to be costly for him. And also Groot has got a stop and go 30 seconds. So I would imagine that was for speeding in the pit lane because that's where he started from. Now, Basics earlier said it was going to be tricky to keep up with those Audis, and it looks like that's the case because Chicken Paxo did seem to be trying to stretch the gap a little bit there. Now let's see, is Donardi going to try and get that drive-through out of the way now? I would imagine he probably will, because it means it will give him clear space in front. So here we go, round to complete, lap 1. So as they go across the line, Chicken Paxo leads, Basics second, Banff third, Rusty GT up to fourth, Dazza up to fifth. So they've benefited from obviously Brownster moving his way back, and interestingly Brownster has gone for the pits. Now I'm quite surprised at that because he was the fastest car out there, but he started from the back. Now that may be a tactical manoeuvre to give himself clear air, put in some of those stunning lap times we know. Oh, look at this! Basics going down the outside of Chicken Paxo at Lacoon, but can't quite get the move done. I was focusing elsewhere. I didn't realise he had enough speed in that car to overtake it. So those two Ferraris are looking very, very feisty behind the Audi. I'd written off the Ferrari's chances there a little bit too early on. So it's actually shown that Basics was in front at the split at the top of the hill, but Chicken Paxo has obviously just held on to it. So lively stuff up the front here already, and we've got 4 drivers in the pits. The Brownster, Donardi, I don't know if he can do a drive-through and his pit at the same time. If he can, that will be a result for him. No, he's only done the drive-through, so he's coming out again. So Brownster, Chris V Dub, Groot and Photopic, I would imagine those drivers, or at least Chris V Dub, had picked up damage, so he's recovering from that. I'll just have a quick look in the chat to see if there's any update. No, we're not getting anything in there at the moment. I'll have a look at the chat in the YouTube, see if we've got anything that helps us out there at the moment. I'm not seeing anything right now. So it looks like Basics has got some good speed through Eau Rouge and up the hill, so whether he can do it again this time. And it looks like Banff is running the same sort of... Oh, hello, somebody spun there at the... I think that might have been... I'm not sure who that was, actually. The two cars have come together there by the look of it at the bus stop chicane. So, but we will concentrate on this battle for the lead. But behind, Rusty GT, Dazza, DB Kung all keeping in there neatly. Rusty Spanner up there in 7th and his first time out. Brownster, as I suspected, has gone for tyres. He's come back out in 12th and has completed his tyre stop. So that he's going to be one to watch, particularly when we get to the pit stop phase. And he's had that clear running. Actually, let's just see. Oh, some Audi pulling across there. I think that could be Groot, who's just come out of the pits, letting everybody through. So yes, Basics does seem to be carrying some good speed up to the top of the hill there, but can't quite get alongside this time. So Chicken Paxo, I think on this occasion, was ready for the speed of Basics, and it looks like Banff has actually dropped a little bit off the back of Basics there. So Basics seems to be one of the two Ferrari drivers that is got a little bit more pace. But let's just have a see where Brownster is. Now look at that. Brownster is about 3/4 of a lap behind the main leading pack. However, he is in absolutely clear air for quite a lot of the track. So this is going to be one to watch, because I think Brownster will come back into play. He obviously started at the back, so he had that little bit of a time gap there. So whether he can punch in those quick laps and make up the difference come the pit stops, I think the Brownster is going to come back into this one. So we will move back up to the front, and it looks definitely like Chicken Paxo and Bazux there are moving just slightly away from Banff in third. An interesting Rusty GT, a driver whose performance has improved as we've been watching him through the seasons, comes out of Blanchimont there, and he's keeping Banff in front of him, really honest, in the other Ferrari. And then we've got Dazza there in fifth, getting shadowed very closely by DB Kung. So that's an area that could liven up. And really these front six, again, this is all a bit like Brands Hatch, that these drivers are pulling away from the rest of the pack. There's another 8 seconds back to Rusty Spanner, who does seem to be in a bit of a battle there with Randy Flangepants and Marge. Now Randy Flangepants has jumped up the order there from the start, so he's got himself up to 8th, and Marge is there in 9th. So I think Randy Flangepants will be pleased with that as a performance so far. Let's hope he can keep it up. Interesting to see Anun has gone for the pits. Yeah, that's a fairly early stop, so I imagine he must have picked up some damage. So here we go, Randy Flangepants looking at the inside of Lecombe. Can he do it on Rusty Spanner? No, he can't quite get alongside enough, but he's upset the line of Rusty Spanner. So can he do it on the run down to Brussels? But unfortunately, Randy Flangepants now is coming under the attention of Marge in the other Ferrari there behind him. So it's all getting a bit lively here for 7th, 8th and 9th. I'm just keeping an eye on the battle up the front. It all is looking still remarkably close. But this is also getting quite lively there. Looked like Rusty was looking a bit... Oh no! Rusty was going defensive on there. Randy was going around the outside. I think that was very much a racing incident. But Rusty was going defensive as they went in, and Randy was quite rightly taking the outside line, and unfortunately it looked like Rusty slid into him. So that's Randy up to 7th and Marge up to 8th. So I think Randy is going to be over the moon with that, because he is, and I'm going to choose my words carefully, ahead of the second pack, because these guys are about 11 seconds behind the lead pack of drivers. But Randy is heading those at the moment. So let's hop back up the front. Now it looks like after that early surge of Bazux onto the back of Chicken Paxo, he's now dropped away. He's now about 1.5 seconds behind the leader, but is actually falling into the clutches of his teammate Banff, who's there in third, just half a second behind. So we've got 3 drivers now who have completed their pit stop. So that's Brownster, Anun and Photopig. So those are drivers that may come back in to feature it later on in the race. So let's just have a quick look. The live chat's gone a little bit quiet. We would be absolutely grateful to hear from any of you out there tonight. See what you think of the racing, what you think of the commentary. So looks like Photopig had a coming together at the start, which he's not overly impressed with, and looks like Chris V Dub has stuck his hands up to what happened there as he caught the curb, which is something you can easily do through that Eau Rouge section if you're slightly out of position. So as I look away, Bazux suddenly now stretches away from Banff and is now getting close to Chicken Paxo again. So whether Bazzett's made a little bit of a mistake there or not, I don't know. But this is looking very much like the race we had at Brands Hatch, where the drivers were stunningly close for literally the whole race, and that was a 20-minute race, and that was exhausting for me as a commentator, and I think all the drivers. So we're only 10 minutes into this 1 hour race, so I think we're going to have more of that in a minute. So exhaustion, I mean, when I said we're going to have more of it. So Crumbo Zoe's in the pits at the moment, so I imagine she's probably trying to get her pit stop done and dusted. Let's have a look. Great to see we've got everybody still in the race despite the few adventures at the start. I'm just keeping an eye on what we've got going on further down. We've got Marge still working on Randy Flangepants. Now I'm really impressed with Randy Flangepants here, because Marge is a driver who has improved considerably over the last few seasons, as has Randy Flangepants. But Marge was sort of fighting up the front, I think, particularly when we had the race at Bathurst earlier in the season. And Randy Flangepants is doing a stunning job of holding him off there, so that is absolutely great to see. So as they slam on the brakes for the bus stop chicane, the gap's only 0.2 of a second, but Marge just doesn't seem to be able to find a way round. So I'm just looking further down. The rest of the drivers are all a little bit scattered, really, because they are ones that have all had little sort of various adventures, whether it's been damage or drive-throughs for penalties and so on. So those will take a little while to shake out. The ones for us to keep an eye on is Donardi. Oh, hello! That's Marge, got it horribly wrong there. And he's gone backwards into the wall at the top of Radion, so let's hopefully there's nobody coming through, because this could be quite expensive. This is where certain parts of your body get quite tight, but no, he's managed to get it turned around and back on the track and not collected anybody, so that might force his hand 13 minutes in to go for a pit stop, because if he's got damage, he may want to get that repaired at the same time as his pit stop, so he doesn't lose more time. What I was actually going to say is the times I was looking at is the gap for Brownster to Donardi, because Donardi has still got to take another pit stop, because he's taken the drive-through for the misposition he had at the rolling start, so he has still got a pit again. But the gap from him back to the Brownster, I noticed initially was about 30 seconds, and it's down to about or was down to about 26 seconds. So he is Brownster is definitely winding his way in. And interestingly, I thought I saw Dazza had gone for the pits there. He had gone for the pits. So Dazza's got his pit stop out of the way. Now, whether that was to correct some damage as well, I don't know. But that has put him out in some good clean air as well. He's behind the Brownster, and not being unfair to Dazza, I think the Brownster is going to be pulling away from him rather than the Dazza catching him. But that still might put Dazza in a good position later in the race. So let's have a look further up. Well, Randy Flangepants, look at the race of his life at the moment. He's up to 6th place in this Spa endurance race, so he's absolutely flying. He's got no one in front of him, no one behind him, so he's got a clear run of track at the moment, so he just needs to keep the focus, and this could be his best result by a long way. So who else have we got moving on? Let's have a look back up the front, because these three are, again, I keep referring to it, just like Brands Hatch last week, absolutely stuck together. So, and we're quartered away into the race already, and the gap between first and third is a second, which is literally nothing on a race of this length. Now, the factor we've got to bear in mind that is going to come is the fact that we are going into the dark. So the temperature's going to drop, and that means tyre pressures drop. So drivers will hopefully have planned their tyre pressures, or the set of tyres they're putting on at the pit stop, to have tyre pressures suited to the dark, so that may affect when they decide that they're going to pit. And the other thing is with these drivers, oh hello, we're just catching a driver being lapped there in the Aston. I'm not sure who that is. I think that might be Simo. So I think they're going to clear him quite quickly, which they have done already, I think. As I head down towards Blanchimont. Now, I wonder if Banff is starting to get a bit twitchy behind Bazix and starting to think, look, you've had 15 minutes to get by Chicken Paxo. You haven't managed it. Now it's my turn to have a go. Whether they will work on that basis as team orders, I don't know. But Banff is definitely looking very racy behind Bazix at the moment. So whether Bazix is going to let him go, I don't know. You don't really want to be fighting your teammate too much. Banff having a look down the inside at La Source, but decides better off it. So what else have we got bubbling up apart from this battle at the front? Well, interesting to see that Photopig obviously had that incident at the start. Oh, and it looked like Bazix took a little bit of a shortcut there over the top of Radion. Now, that will be one of his jokers played, and that looks very much like Bazix is not I would say overly weaving, but he's certainly trying to go defensive on his teammate behind. Oh, and that looks like Chicken Paxo's gone wide across the curbs. Now, is that the... Oh, Bazix tried to go down the inside, the second part of the Coombe. Chicken Paxo's gone wide on the exit, and now Banff's coming to play down the inside of Bazix. So the one that's lost out in there is Bazix. So that was a mistake by Chicken Paxo, but the one that paid the price was Bazix, because he's dropped from second to third. Now, let's just see whether Banff has got more pace than what Bazix had. Because I think... Well, there was Banff in front of Bazix at the start. I can't remember. I'm not sure which way those two qualified round. But this is now Banff's opportunity to show what he's got. And can he get by Chicken Paxo? Has he got that performance advantage up the straight with the slipstream, which seems to close him up? So let's keep a close eye on this one. What else have we got bubbling up as these three pull away from the rest of the field? We've got Rusty GT and DB Kung still in this battle. I believe they're running as teammates, so they may be decided to play the long game and not sort of take each other out. Because at the moment, from a team's point of view, they are in a cracking position because they're 4th and 5th at the moment. There's nobody particularly close behind them. The only one that could come into play is the Brownster, because we know he's got phenomenal pace. But interestingly, he's now not catching Donardi at the rate he was earlier on time-wise. So, but interested to see here if DB Kung is getting a bit itchy to get by Rusty GT here. He's getting pretty close now. Whether there's going to be any sort of team, I would say, orders or agreement, team strategy, shall we call it? I've got in trouble before suggesting that people have been doing team stuff. I've got myself beaten up around the back of the race truck, so I need to be a little bit careful with that one. But it does look like DB Kung is close enough to have a go. He's only 0.2 behind, but no, he decides not to. Looks like Rusty went quite deep on the brakes there. And actually, Rusty's gone wide there, I think. When the cameraman catches up, yeah, Rusty went deep at the Coombs there. So that's DB Kung up to 4th and Rusty down to 5th. Now, DB Kung has got good pace, but I don't think he's got pace to be able to catch those drivers in front. He's about 4 seconds down the road. Oh, and looks like someone is off at the top of Les Coombes, and they have left the room. That was racer number 21, so I don't know who that was. I've lost track who number 21 was. Let me just have a quick look, see if I can catch up. No, unfortunately my stream is working slightly too well tonight. So, if somebody knows, well, we'll have a quick look down the list to see who we can see is missing. There's not any of the leaders. So, right, okay, let's go back up the front because I can see, as I suggested, Banff was getting quite twitchy, I thought, behind Bazix. It looked like it got a bit more pace. Now, as they go through Blodgemont, Banff is right under the rear wing of Chicken Paxo. Chicken Paxo going defensive. As they go into the bus stop chicane, Chicken Paxo compromises his entry, leaving the better run through there for Banff. Now, can Banff do anything down to La Source? It's quite a short run here, so I would be surprised. But these two fighting is now on Bazix to catch up. I say catch up, these three cars are all within a second of each other, so it's not really anyone running away. So we are heading into sort of third race distance gone, so drivers will be starting to look and think about pit stops, and that could be a way of getting in front of people. Now look how close Banff is on Chicken Paxo here as they go up over Radion, and the Chicken Paxo going to the right hand side of the track. They go really defensive. Banff goes to the left to try and go round the outside, but that's too long a path to be able to try and pull that one on. Bazix has a bit of a cheeky look to see whether or not he can get second place back. But it really looks like, as Ben told us in the chat before the race, that it is difficult to get by those Audis. And Chicken Paxo is using the advantage of that Audi very much. So maybe pit strategy here could be something that could come into play, whether it's to go for the undercut by pitting early and trying to have the advantage of new tyres, or maybe leaving the pit stop a little bit later. I don't know, these guys are the expert. We'll have to wait and see what they come up with. Let's have a look further down. Now, interestingly, the drivers we saw being past each other, DB Kung and Rusty. Rusty has fallen away from the back of DB Kung. Oh, and just to say that DB Kung looking a bit loose there, running a bit wide, but seems to have gathered it all up. DB Kung is got a better pace there, but he's not really catching those three in front. Now, it's only 5 seconds, so nothing's impossible, but I think he's going to have to pull out a few miracles to wind those leaders in to get himself on the podium. And of course, the other one that we're waiting to see is the Brownster, because he's going to come into play at some point, I believe. I could be wrong. Oh no, we've lost another driver. Who have we lost? I'm just trying to keep an eye out. I'll have to whiz back in the stream. Unfortunately, we lost 2, but we've still got 15 drivers on track, which is still a cracking turnout. Let's have a look who we've got that's going to get lively. I don't think anything apart from that battle for the lead, which we'll hop back to now. So here we go, round 2 of Chicken Paxo versus Banff up the Kemmel Straight. Oh, look at that, bit of a shortcut there by Banff. I don't know whether we'll get away with that. Actually, it looks like Chicken Paxo's had a bit of a problem there. Don't know quite what's happened there, but he's still pointing the right direction. So that means now it's a Ferrari 1-2 for Banff and Bazix. So Chicken Paxo definitely fell off the pace there, and as I said, DB Kung would need a bit of a miracle, and it looks like it's been delivered, because Chicken Paxo popping back there is down to 4th. Now, I didn't quite see exactly what happened. Unfortunately, the camera angles we've got aren't great at the moment, but it didn't look like he had a major spin or anything like that. I think he just seemed to run maybe a little bit wide. You can catch the curb at the bottom of Eau Rouge there, and that can make your car very unstable. So that may possibly be what's happened, and he had to catch it, and Banff had to take avoiding action. We will probably, or maybe, find out at the pit stop, because Ben was right behind there, so hopefully he'll tell it. So we've got a message from Marge that he's had a technical failure with his wheel. So it was Marge, one of the drivers, who's had unfortunately to pull out. So he's got a technical problem with flashing lights on his wheel. Oh, Chicken Paxo running wide there again. So I don't know if he's got a problem with the car. Does this mean he's going to be looking to to go for the pits. The Audi team not having the greatest of nights. Donardi got that penalty for track position at the start and then got spun out. So it's all gone a bit pear-shaped in the Audi camp tonight. So is the Audi going to go for the pits? No, he's not going for the pits, so that suggests he hasn't got any damage there, so he's sticking with it. So this is all going to tumble like a set of dominoes when we get to the pits, because we're not really sure. Those drivers like Brownster and Dazza and the Nun who pitted earlier, where they're going to fall out into things. And the other factor that may come into play is that later in the race they're going to have the more worn tyres. So they may get a jump because they pitted early, but later on they may get caught because they are using worn tyres. And that looked to me like Chicken Paxo took a massive bite out of the curve at the top of Raddy on there. This should be a fairly impressive lap time. You do get 2 or 3 track warnings before you get a penalty, so I think Chicken Paxo may have used those like a bit of a joker to try and get himself back up there with DB Kung, who we know has got good pace, and actually that shenanigans of the leading 3 has brought DB Kung into play a little bit more, because he was about 4 seconds behind Bazert. He's now only 2.7, so this is going to be I think concertinaing together to become a 4-way battle for the lead. And the other factor we've got coming into play is we are just 3 minutes off half distance, so that's going to liven things up. Oh, and DB Kung using all the track a bit more and across the grass, and hopefully when the cameraman catches up, he managed to gather it up. But the other thing he's gathered up is Chicken Paxo right in his rear view mirror. Oh, and he's gone deep again as he's coming back round Stavelot to head down towards Blanchimont. Has DB Kung got it all back together, but this has given Chicken Paxo a fantastic opportunity to get back onto the podium. So has he got enough overspeed to do it? They're going to go through Blanchimont line astern, but is Chicken Paxo going to have a go as they come up to the bus stop? It looks like DB Kung's going quite defensive. Chicken Paxo going for the outside, possibly going for the switchback on the... Oh no! And it's coming together there. I don't quite know what happened there. I don't know if DB Kung was going for the pits, but he came across the front of Chicken Paxo. Yeah, it looked like he was going for the pits. And unfortunately, what he didn't realise was Chicken Paxo was right round the outside of him. So as he turned to go to the pits, he turned himself across the front of Chicken Paxo. I think that's... You can only put that down to a racing incident. Now, the interesting thing we're going to find out in a minute is where DB Kung is going to come out relative to the Brownster. Because the Brownster started at the back, went for an early pit stop, so he's already completed his compulsory pit stop, so can go to the end. So I'll be interested to see where DB Kung, there currently in 5th in the pits, is going to come out. Let's see where the Brownster is. Now, the Brownster's just coming round Stavelot. And it looks like to me DB Kung is still, and this is what I said to everyone earlier, it's the pit lane here is just so long that DB Kung so far has only got through the first half of the pit lane, and he's now looking down for his pit garage. Now he's going to be stationary for at least 30 seconds. Oh, and they're all coming into the pits. Randy Flangepants in, Donardi coming in for his 2nd pit stop, which is only his 1st compulsory one. And look at this, the Brownster is going to be ahead of DB Kung. Now this isn't going to be good news for the leaders, because I think this is going to bring the Brownster right up into the fight, because my estimation is that he's passing DB Kung in the pit lane, who will be starting to move slowly any second now, depends whether he's carrying damage. But I think now, and I've been proved wrong many times before, as we all know, don't we, race brothers?
Still a long way to go.
As we click over half distance, I think Brownster's in the lead when you factor in pit stops. Now, I could be completely wrong, and I have been on numerous occasions before. Oh, I think, who's that? Just Group, I think, possibly popping across the the barriers across the curbs there? Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I can see the Brownster in the background. Now, DB Kung has come out. Now we need to get across all the various clicks in the air and so on that we've got going on at the moment, because I think the gap between DB Kung and Brownster, well, it's showing us 26 seconds, so this has put to me that it's Brownster the de facto leader. Now we are going to quickly cross across to Ben, who is Bazix, who has just gone in for his compulsory pit stop. Are you there, Ben?
Hello, Trevor.
Hi, how's it going?
What a race this is turning out to be.
It was certainly a bit lively. What happened up through there, Eau Rouge? You were in the grandstand seats, because it looked like Chicken Paxo made a bit of a mess of it, and Banff sort of nipped across the curb and grabbed the lead.
Yeah, I couldn't quite see exactly. It looked like Chicken Paxo just lost the rear, so I had to duck out and pick up the track warning, dodging out of the way rather than these things tend to happen. But it looked like he just caught the rear. To be honest, from where I was, it looked like he was going to be, heading for the barrier, and that could have been game over. But it looks like he picks it back up again.
Yeah, he did seem to scoop it all up, and didn't collect the barrier or anything, but he did lose a few seconds there. Now, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but Brownster's just come out of the source and he's just powering down the hill towards Eau Rouge. How does that make you feel?
It's impressive, isn't it? He's been quick tonight, so I think he's net leading. But I think, if me and Jack can keep this together, we should be good for a 2-3.
Yeah, you two. Is there any agreement between you two as to who goes in front?
No, we don't have anything like that in place tonight. But you saw I couldn't really make gains on Paxo. Every time I seemed to get close, I seemed to make a little mistake. So moved out the way, let Jack have a go, and sort of seemed to have promoted us a couple of spots. So I think if we can just keep this tidy to the end, we should be on for a good finish.
Brilliant. I'll let you get on. I'll catch you at the end.
Cheers, mate. See you later.
Thank you. Well, that was Bazix, who is currently showing on our screen as 5th place, but effectively is 3rd. And the one on screen is Brownster, who put that lap that everyone was absolutely stunned by in qualifying, the 2:18.3, and started from the back of the grid because he had a disconnection. Went for an early pit stop, has put in some absolute stunning laps, and halfway into the race has literally gone from the back to the front of the grid, which is absolutely incredible. So let's just have a look, see what other battles we've got at the moment. We've got Chicken Paxo who's staying out at the moment, so I don't know what his strategy is, because we've gone over half distance, so maybe he's looking for fresher tyres at the end. Of course, he's now got to think on his strategy of what he's going to do regarding the fact that, oh hello, he's looking a little bit sideways there. He obviously had that little mistake going up over Eau Rouge, and that's put him from 1st to 3rd. Now effectively that's going to be 4th. Now can he do anything with pit strategy that's going to put him back up to maybe a podium position? I don't see him getting ahead of the Brownster. The Brownster's gone. He's in a race of 1. But the gap between Chicken Paxo and Bazix and Banff, who are net 2nd and 3rd, wasn't that big. So I think that is going to be one that could get quite lively later in the race, particularly as it stands at the moment. Chicken Paxo is going to have fresher tyres than either the Brownster or Banff. So let's have a move down. Who have we got? Now, one that did lose out through the pit stop phase looks like to be Randy Flangepants. So I don't. Oh, hello! Just as I said, that looks like Chicken Paxo was having an adventure at bus stop chicane and has lost even more time there. So the one that could do well out of this is DB Kung. Now, while we've got nothing too lively going on anywhere else on the track, just see how long this pit lane is, because this is the Formula 1 pit. The drivers have to do the whole length of this at pit limit speed and then go round the inside of La Source, which is where the F1 cars normally exit onto the track, and then go into the other pit lane and then find their pit garage, and then they then exit after Eau Rouge. So this is one massively long pit lane. So let's have a quick look. Who hasn't pitted and who's jumped up and down? It looks like, obviously, well, actually, let's just give Rusty GT a moment in the sun, because Rusty GT is our leader on track at the moment. I think started around about 6th or 7th and did get overtaken by teammate DB Kung a few laps ago. It was sort of hanging in there, so he's obviously going for a longer first stint, as we've just got around about 23.5 minutes to go. So that was Simo and Crumbo Zoe. They are deciding to hang it out a bit to go for a later pit stop, which will give them fresher tyres come the end. Actually, it looks like Simo has just hopped into the pits. Yes, he has. Now, no pressure, Simo. You know the route. No, you can't pit there. Left a bit, Simo. Left a bit. You can do this. The whole of Race Club is wishing you to find your pit garage. You can do it. You can do it. I'm confident. Here we go. Round the inside of La Source. Now, where has Chicken Paxo come out? He's actually come out in... No, he hasn't. The timing markers is just working them out. There we go. We knew he could do it. Simo is working his way down towards his pit garage. So we're all really chuffed to see that one. So let's just see where Bazzox... Not Bazzox. There's Bazzox in 4th, who has dropped quite a way off his teammate there. They were running line astern. Now, whether he had some repairs to do, but he's definitely lost out after that pit stop. Now, as we saw, Chicken Paxo had a couple of ventures, had a bit of a coming together there with DB Kung just as they were coming into the pits, and then had his own little adventure the following lap at bus stop chicane. He's now 3.6 behind DB Kung, and he's got Dazza for company as well. So Chicken Paxo's got his tyres to get up to temperature, so that is going to make him possibly a little bit vulnerable. But Dazza, you know, whenever I look up, Dazza's always in 7th place. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's 456 is his number, and then obviously 456 in 7th. I don't know. I just made that up. Oh, Rusty GT, after his moment in the sun there in the lead, he's gone for his pit stop. So that is... Oh, and with Crumbo Zoe is going to mean everybody has completed their compulsory pit stop. So I'm not sure where Rusty GT is going to come out on that. I would imagine around about 7th. So he was running up there with DB Kung. Now, the battle I can see coming together as the laps click down. We're just coming up to 2/3 race distance. I think we're going to see Chicken Paxo try and work his way up to DB Kung. Now, we know DB Kung is quick. If we put the Brownster aside, the leading drivers, even after 40 minutes of racing, they're really not that far apart. Even the Nun, who is down there in the net, I think 7th, is not that far adrift. So we've got Chicken Paxo there, who is running a net 5th, I believe. I think he's behind DB Kung. Just running my eye down the laps, just trying to see who else we've got on the chat. Chat's a little bit quiet tonight. Would be great to hear from a few of you. See what you think. Is Chicken Paxo going to get DB Kung? Will anything happen to the Brownster? Doesn't look very likely, but not impossible. Will Bazzocks get back at Banff? Much as I love to say something different, I don't think so. DB Kung obviously had that little adventure with... Let's move back. DB Kung had that little adventure with Chicken Paxo at pit entry. Has now ended up behind Rusty GT, who was his teammate, who he obviously got by earlier on. So with Chicken Paxo on his way to... Was there a car park there on the inside? Oh, I think that was Crombo Zoe. Now DB Kung will be keen to get by Rusty GT because he's got Chicken Paxo coming at pace behind him, so he won't want to lose time behind his teammate there. So whether they're in communication or not, I don't know, but I am sure DB Kung here is going to be itching to get by Rusty in front. As you can see in the background there as they went down the straight was Chicken Paxo just a little bit behind. So there we go, down through Eau Rouge. There we go, see Chicken Paxo in the background there. Oh, hello. That was DB Kung taking a little bit of a shortcut there. And what's happened to his teammate? Rusty GT's had a bit of a moment at Eau Rouge there. Looks like he's recovering. Doesn't look overly damaged there. If you're lucky, you can get on the brakes and bring it to a halt before you hit the barrier. But unfortunately, that has dropped Rusty from 4th, all the way down to 7th actually, because Daz has got by him as well. And I think in the background there, if I was right, a Nun is on his way as well. So that mistake at Eau Rouge there for Rusty GT is really costly. So a Nun who started from the back as well because he wasn't able to get a qualifying lap in, he's got his way up to 8th, and I think he's going to be honing in on Rusty GT fairly quickly. So he's brought himself fairly well back up. The other driver on recovery mode is Donardi, who unfortunately had that drive-through at the start and then got turned around at the top of Kemmel Straight, so has had a little bit of an adventure to say the least. So he's still in 9th there at the moment. Who else have we got? Let's have a quick look down the other runners and riders. We've got Rusty there, or I should say Rusty Spanner, because we've got 2 Rusties in the Lambo there. He's not that far behind Donardi. I imagine that Donardi has probably passed him in the last few laps. So he's there in a good 10th. And that's his first run out with us here at Race Club. And then in 11th, I'm not quite sure what's happened to Randy Flangepants there now. And I appreciate people like the Browns and that have jumped up, but Randy was having a cracking race there. I think he was up in 5th or 6th at one point. Admittedly down to some people who had pitted, probably people like Donardi and the Nun. But he's still there, and he's still, he's on the lead lap. So he's obviously definitely improving there, is Randy. And then Chris V Dub, who I think had a bit of an adventure at the start there. So for that Porsche team, is not the best. Oh, hello, we're getting a bit tight there. That's Groot and Chris V Dub. And Chris V Dub has had to take to the escape road there. And then he's got, is that Simo coming back at him from the back there? No, it's not. Can't be Simo. Is that Groot? No. Oh, is that the leaders coming through? I didn't spot that. So it's not that. Oh, that must be Bazzocks. So Bazzocks is coming through on Groot and Chris V Dub there. So next up is Randy Flangepants. for the leaders to lap. So let's just see where they are all relative at the moment. Well, actually, it's quite a long gap there. So with just 14 minutes to go, which is going to be about 7 laps, the gap there between Randy Flangepants, I don't think he's going to get lapped unless he makes a mistake. So that, you know, I think it's a good result to stay on the lead lap. So let's just whiz down to a few others. Groot, who is there in 13th. I think he had a little bit in the venture earlier on, so he's just there, just been lapped, I think, by Bazix. Unfortunately, with probably an extra pit stop there, has lost a lap on the leaders. And then Simo, we saw going through the pits a few laps ago, still there in 14th. And then Crumbo Zoe, looks like maybe the front of that Mercedes had a little bit of enhancement, but she's still going there in 15th, and we had 17 starters, so she's not last, and she was feeling maybe, you know, of not carrying on, but has decided to come back and have another go, and still putting some good laps in there, so it's great to see her on board. Unfortunately, that is what you call commentator's curse, and unfortunately the back end come around there just at the end of Blanchimont and came around into the concrete wall there, so may have to go for repairs. But we knew Bazix had already used up some of his track limits. Well, he's got a drive-through. He's used all his jokers up, so that's going to really spoil his race, because we've already commented several times about how long the pit lane is. So this is going to tumble him right down. I think this is going to put him down somewhere around about 9th or 10th. Now, there's nothing he can do about it. He's going to have to go in with, you know, we've got just 12 minutes to go. So it's whether a case he goes in early, gets it over with and gets back on it, or hangs it out as long as he can. But from where that flashed up, I imagine he got that for taking a bit of a straight line over Radion at the which is the corner after Eau Rouge at the top there, which it's very tempting to cut, but if you go a little bit too far, you get the waggly finger and eventually you get the penalty. So Bazix is going to have to go for a drive-through, and we may use that as an opportunity to try and catch up with him. Hopefully there won't be too many expletives, because I imagine he won't be overly impressed with that as a manoeuvre for him. He obviously wasn't intending to do it. So let's see whether or not he's going to go into the pits this time round and get it over and done with. No, he's decided to stay out and get some more laps in, which is in the groove. It's not a bad thing to do. He can also start abusing his next set of track limits. So, you know, he's used up all his jokers, got the penalty, so he's back to 0. So I think he can still start using a bit of opportunistic track limit usage. So let's move back. I wasn't going to move back to Dazza, but we can say a quick hello to Dazza. He goes through La Source. But the one who is on the move is, as I predicted, and I don't like to say I was right again, Chicken Paxo has caught DB Kung. So that, I think, is Groot jumping out of the way there. But Chicken Paxo is just 0.7 of a second behind DB Kung as they get to Le Coon. So we've got just over 10 minutes remaining, so that is going to be about 4, maybe 5 laps now. Great to see we've still got 15 drivers in the race, which is great to see. Obviously a few of them had little adventures, but you've got to be in it to win it. Now, the other interesting thing that's happened is that we have lost Banff down to 5th. Now, I'm not quite sure how that's happened because I missed that. So the Ferrari team from a 2-3 are turning into a complete nightmare. So I don't know what happened to Banff there. It looks like there's quite a lot of damage and marking down the right hand side of the car. So whether he's going to have to go and pit, I don't know. But it's all come tumbling out of the Ferrari pram with just 10 minutes to go. They were looking solid for a second and third, and now Banff is in fifth, and Bazix is about to take the pain of a drive-through, and he's going to be down to, I think, 9th or 10th, and that's going to put DB Kung and Chicken Paxo on the podium. Oh, I knew I was going to remember what that three-step thing was called in a minute. So, Chicken Paxo still giving DB Kung a hard time. Keeping an eye out on Bazix as to when he's going to go for his drive-through. No, he's sticking it out for now. So he's stayed out. So the main battle we've got is Chicken Paxo on DB Kung, and the other one we've got is Rusty GT on Dazza. Now I think that this battle here, Dazza in 6th, Rusty GT in 7th, I think this will be quite evenly balanced because these drivers are at a very similar pace. So I'm going to watch Chicken Paxo up to the end of the Kemmel Straight. Now it looks like Chicken Paxo is struggling on pace at the moment. Now whether he's picked up damage earlier on, but he doesn't seem to be able to make any inroads into that blue Ferrari of DB Kung. So he's struggling there at the moment, but Rusty GT is not struggling at all. He's going to the outside of Dazza. That's the Ferrari in the middle of your screen. Dazza's on the inside, defending the inside line into Lecoum. Defending it fairly robustly, but they've both kept going in the same direction. And actually, it looks like Rusty GT was a little bit liberal across the curbs there, maybe. Not sure quite how that one will be viewed because he did gain the position there, but then he was rather pushed wide by Dazza. So quite how that one will settle out, I don't know. We'll hop forward to see where Bazix is because I am expecting him to come in for a drive-through. So I think the battle with Chicken Paxo to DB Kung is probably over. So we'll pop back to Dazza and Rusty GT, which actually I think is ceasing to be the Rusty in 6th, Dazza in 7th battle to the Dazza in 7th, the Anun in 8th battle, because Anun has now turned up for the party, and I imagine he won't just be after 7th, I imagine he might be after 6th as well. So this one's going to liven up. It always comes to a great boil here at Race Club, and talking of boiling, let's see, I don't know if he can hear me, but hopefully Bazix can hear me because he's going for a drive-through, and hopefully we can have a quick chat. Are you there, Bazix?
And I'm not going very quickly, Trevor.
Well, that is the problem with, I think we discussed earlier, the one thing you didn't want to do was get a drive-through.
Exactly this, yeah.
Was that one too many chunks out of the top of Radium?
Do you know what, there's a bump just at the bottom of Eau Rouge, and it's caught us a couple of times, and unfortunately had to take a bit of Radium, and they're pretty unforgiving, the track limits here, so it's like I'm currently going through treatment. This is really painful.
It is. We're watching it on screen, and it is. It is. Just quickly, because you're going to come out, and I know you want to get going. Do you know what happened to Banff? Because he suddenly dropped from 2nd to 5th.
I went past him as he was facing the other way at the top of Eau Rouge, Radian. So I think he's lost it somewhere along there.
Okay. So Radian's not been good for either of you.
No. But let's see if we can do anything in the last sort of 5 minutes.
Okay. Best of luck. We'll speak to you at the end.
Cheers, mate.
Okay, so Bazix rejoins as he comes out of the top, and I think he's going to come out side by side almost with Donardi. Not side by side, because Donardi is slipped in front. So Donardi, who had a fairly crap start to the race with being turned around and penalties, he has now got himself up to 8th, and Bazix, having been sitting in 2nd there, got that drive-through, and as we, I hate to repeat myself, but this pit lane is such a crucifier for people's races. Look at that. Bazix has gone from 2nd to 9th. But the other thing is, doesn't it just show how competitive things are here at Race Club, that with 55 minutes into a 1 hour race, somebody gets a drive through and they go from second step of the podium to nearly out of the top 10. So it just shows how cracking it is. Now, talking of podium, we're just going to pop back up because it looks like Chicken Paxo has gathered his bits and pieces up and he is now right back on DB Kung. So whether he's got some problems with that car and he's trying to drive round it, I don't know, but he is now within half a second of DB Kung, so he's obviously going to be keen for the second step of the podium. As this Audi got a bit of speed up the hill compared to Ferrari, as we see, the Audis and the Ferraris are by far the weapons of choice for this this series. Oh, and DB Kung has fallen foul of the track limits again as well. Just when he thought he was on for that middle step of the podium, it's just gifted it to Chicken Paxo. One too many chunks through the top of Radion again has paid the price. So track limits with just 3 minutes to go, that must be absolutely excruciating, because we know that it's going to drop DB Kung down to probably 9th place, because that'll promote Bazix back up to 8th. So just as the Ferraris thought they'd taken advantage or been able to get advantage back after the problem with the Banff and Bazix Ferraris in second and third, they're now going to hand second place to Chicken Paxo in the Audi. That will actually move Banff back up onto the third step of the podium as well. So that's quite a recovery there for Banff, because he obviously had that big moment at the top of Eau Rouge Radion, and he's going to get back from it to actually get back on the podium. So as often with these races at Race Club, you need to stick with us because they do liven up towards the end, and this one is no exception. So DB Kung's only got one choice really to spend that penalty before the end of the race. He needs to go into the pits now because the it depends where the Brownster is. I think the finishing line is actually that one on the exit of the bus stop chicane. Now it depends when the Brownster crossed the line as to whether or not he's going to get another lap in, or whether he decides just to ease off and finish it off a bit early. But yeah, as I predicted, DB Kung there trundling, as Bazix described it earlier, through the treacle of pit lane. So that is going to tumble him down, I think, to about 9th place where Bazix is at the moment. So that must be absolutely heartbreaking for him. So of course there is the possibility that people even on their last lap can get caught. And talking of being caught, and Nun has just caught Dazza. And that looks like he did the move through the bus stop chicane. So Nun has got himself up to 6th place, having started from the back. So that's a good result for him. Really great recovery there. And Dazza, where's Dazza? He's 7th, but he won't be 7th for long, so I think he's going to get promoted to 6th in a minute. And I can't say, unless he has a track limits penalty, which obviously the others have done as well, I think he is probably fairly safe in that position. So DB Kung literally just coming to the end of his penalty there. Who's that that's just gone by? Well, I think Donardi. So Donardi's gone by, he's going up the hill. Bazix is just in front of him as well. So interestingly, the three drivers that picked up penalties, which is DB Kung, Donardi and Bazix, are now in 7th, 8th and 9th. So it just shows how costly those penalties are, because Donardi and Bazix we would have expected to be up the front, and DB Kung not far behind. So let's hop to our leader, because we've got just 8, 7, 6, 5. I don't think he's going to make it. Is he going to make it for another lap, or is he going to trundle it? He's going to trundle it. Here we go. Here we go. And the Brownster finishes. Fantastic drive there. Started from the back, having disconnected, but we knew had stunning pace. Went for an early pit stop, and Brownster came out at the lead after the pit stop. So Chicken Paxo had some real humdingers of battles there with Banff and Bazux. Had a little bit of a moment over the top at Radion, and some coming together through the bus stop chicane, but recovered to a really good second position there. Who have we got in the front there? We've got Groot, I think, is just coming across in 13th place. He's had a few adventures, but he's got there to the finish now. And just crossing the line behind him is Banff. So I think they come through thick and fast now. Rusty GT, 4th place. He got cracking result there. I'm sure he's going to be chuffed with that one. And Nun comes through in 5th, having just picked Dazza on the last lap there. The one we didn't see come through was Simo. He's gone back to the pits already. So Donardi just coming through the pit stop chicane, through the bus stop chicane even. He's coming through in 7th. And then Bazux is coming through there in 8th. So not a great recovery there, because he was running 2nd just a couple of laps ago. DB Kung in the blue Ferrari comes across the line, paying the price of that track limits warning. Rusty Spanner in his first race here with us at Race Club, sponsored by Lovely Stickers. He's coming through in 10th place, so good result for his first time out. And then we've got Randy Flangepants, who good solid result there, I think, for Randy, because he's just coming through there in Stavlo. Was running up quite high early on, and he's still there on the lead lap, so I think he'll be quite chuffed about that. And then we'll just have Crumbo Zoe to come across the line, who is not far away at all. Trying to see who that is coming around. I can see it's right. Just chatting to myself, don't worry everybody at home. And then we'll have a quick chat afterwards with Bazux. So Randy Flangepants comes across the line, and I think that is it. So are you there, Ben?
Hello, Trevor.
Hello, Ben. Well, the pain of that drive-through was softened a little bit by DB Kung doing exactly the same thing there.
Oh, it's a small consolation, if I'm honest. That was oh, what a time to get one of those. I never seem to get those, but oh, never mind.
Well, I think unfortunately it's one of those tracks, particularly with, it's so desperate, I imagine, through Eau Rouge to keep the maximum speed up the hill, that you just want to keep chipping away at it, and then of course you get that little bump on the curb at the bottom, and you're just a passenger straight to the scene of the penalty, really, aren't you?
Yeah, it's such fine margins at the top there. Obviously, it's quick if you take more of the curb on the left. It's obviously quicker, and it's a long straight, so you want to maximise that. But yeah, oh well, we'll chalk that up as a learning experience.
I'll remember that phrase. But I thought the great thing for Race Club as a whole was the fact that, and I realise this probably doesn't help your situation, was that we were like 55 minutes into an hour race, and a penalty like that demotes you from 2nd to 9th. And I think that just shows how close the racing is.
Oh yeah, I mean it's not over, is it, until the end? And it's the ultimate cliche, but you know, I mean, credit to the guys at the front, because you know they didn't put much, they didn't do much wrong. So you know, obviously really chuffed to see Jack managed to get up to 3rd. But credit to the Browns, so he was in a different league tonight, wasn't he?
Yeah, he started from the back and wins by 23 seconds.
Go.
Yeah, that's really just taking the mickey, isn't it? So
who invited him?
I know. It should have been the vote to kick, but there we go. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully everyone out there has enjoyed it, having that little bit of a different angle. And I have actually, I'm going to share the secret later on, but I'm fairly confident I have got a co-commentator for next week. So we should be able to line things up, and if you're up for it, maybe we can even do the chat again with you next week, Bazux.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe the one condition is if I'm not doing a drive-through.
No guarantees, no guarantees.
Thanks very much.
Okay, thanks, Bazux.
Cheers.
There we go, everyone. What a fantastic race we've had there tonight. Quick shout out to our sponsor again, Lovely Stickers. You can find them on Facebook. They do great range of decals for steering wheels, whether it be Fanatec, Logitech, or whatever brand you've got in place. They're providing prizes for our drivers for this season. And we look forward to seeing you again same time next week, where we will have 3 20-minute races. And if Brandt Hatch anything to go by, that's not one to miss. So in the meantime, stay safe and see you this time next week.